Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
Some fans feel that this is a more serious team than past years, with the home run jacket being officially retired, veteran experience being added both to the coaching staff and just the team in general. What's the general atmosphere in the Blue Jays complex? Is it, have you personally noticed a difference from previous years?
Yeah. A lot of the guys have used the word maturity, which I've been careful with in writing, because when you say it's a more mature team, that doesn't mean they were being idiots last year. It doesn't suggest immaturity. But, certainly I think some of the players are, how should I say, leaning towards, fewer Gatorade baths after wins over the Orioles in May, maybe if you, and listen, I'm in favor. Throw your bat, dance, do a cartwheel. I don't care. Make baseball weirder and more fun. But, I from being around the club, I think that there might be a bit of a feeling of, if you make those things a bit more rare, they'll be a bit more aspirational. They might stick out a little bit more. If you eat cake and pop a bottle of champagne every single day, your birthday's not going to feel all that special when it comes around, right? So we're going to see a bit less of that. I'm not sure if there will be a new type of jacket. Lots of teams do a chain. Lots of teams, the Red Sox push you in the towel cart. It's one of those things. It's kind of like the team hashtags that they have every year. It's one of those things that started, and I feel like we're running out of good ideas for any of them, so it's kind of like, oh God, when is this just going to stop? But you do see a bit of a more serious tone. Part of that comes with guys like Matt Chapman, like Brandon Belt, certainly Chris Bassett. But a lot of it, I think it's important to say too, comes from younger guys like Bo Bichette. He you could probably notice during the Gatorade or BioSteel baths. I don't know which sponsor I'm upsetting right now. During the sports hydration beverage baths, you didn't see much of Bo during that. You didn't see much of Chappie. So I think some of these guys will be a little more at the forefront of that this year, and that's really the difference. This team is good enough to win a World Series, and that's why covering baseball is tricky. They're more than talented enough to win the World Series. Teams with less talent have won the World Series before. It's about consistency. And it's about figuring out how to not blow an 8-1 lead. It's learning when to pump the brakes and say, okay, deep breath. That's a couple of runs. It stops here. That's the difference between a good team with talent and a good team that actually wins. And I think you're trying to see them bridge that gap. And most of that's going to have to come mentally. Of course, there's holes on the roster. There's strengths like anyone. They're good enough to win a World Series, period. Easy. It's about the mental part and about growing up a bit, which again, I don't mean they were young and stupid, but every team grows up. And a lot of championship teams have had that ugly loss before. And last year was as ugly as it gets in baseball. It was damn ugly, but maybe that's the ugly one they needed to get out of their system.
It's funny because everyone seems to take this issue and make it a black or white thing. And I think that just because they're being more serious doesn't mean this is going to be a team that lacks fun or lacks those moments, right? So, out of curiosity, Keegan, go ahead. Sorry.
It's like a lot of people see, dealing Hernandez, Gurriel, bringing in Don Mattingly. It's not going to turn into that, fully like toxic athlete, tweeting out business trip before every road trip like a moron type of thing. Like it's not going to swing that hard. People aren't that serious about it, but it's a bit of a way, I think, from talking to some of the players and coaches, a way to help kind of keep yourselves in the middle. Because 162 games, I mean, I turn into a nightmare of mood swings, and I'm just sitting in an air-conditioned press box, like playing the games and having your own successes and failures every day. It's not about shying away from the highs and lows, but you're setting yourself up for some real peaks and valleys. I think it's a little more about staying in the middle and realizing that, the celebrations are a little more fun when it's in October and not April 12th.
No more fourth inning curtain calls in playoff games.
Maybe not.
Yeah.